Hello there. This is my first live on this channel, which I'm just typing into the comments. Hi to all for my first live on this channel. Just post that in there. So a big welcome to you all. I do lives on my other channel, but this is my first live on this channel. And this is going to be a very different sort of live. I'll just spin around. I've just been somewhere else. So let me just explain what this channel is going to be about on these lives. It's going to be completely different to my main channel lives. And on this channel, it's going to be positivity, inspiration, and community spirit. They're the main categories I would like to really emphasize to you. I will give shout outs to all channels that come on, obviously, and acknowledge you all and help you on your way if this is what you want to do with your channel as well. So that's the beginning of it. Sometimes this channel will be themed, such as today. I want to talk about Emily Pankhurst, who was a suffragette, and then we can talk about that if you want to talk about it afterwards. Other times I will just pick a theme and we'll talk about it, but sometimes I will focus more on something specific. So what I'm starting with today, I wrote a script about the diary I made of Emily Pankhurst, and it was for one of my adult drama students to perform in her drama exam. And she had to learn it off by heart, obviously, and all the dates. It was a level where she had to remember facts and figures. So she had to remember dates as well. So I'm going to read that. And what I've done, I'd actually made it as a very short synopsis, if you like, of the main part of Emily Pankhurst's life. So I'll begin just by reading it. And then, as I say, if you want to drop a comment as we go, that's great. Or drop a comment later on if you're reading, watching this back later. So I will begin with what I wrote. I'll just move you down a little bit. That's better, isn't it? A little bit more. So this is the suffragette script I wrote and was performed. 1903. I'm so frustrated. I, Emily Pankhurst, a member of the Manchester suffragette set, am sick and tired of the wait-and-see tactics of the NUWSS, the National Union of Women's Suffrage Societies. It was all the way back in 1832 that a woman named Mary Smith presented the first women's petition to Parliament, in which the same year the Great Reform Act confirmed the exclusion of women from the vote. So now I will form a group that I will call the WSPU, the Women's Social and Political Union, with my daughters Christabel and Sylvia. 1905. Militant campaign begins. Christabel and Anne Kenny have been arrested and imprisoned. We have now adopted deeds not words and vote for women as our campaign slogans. February the 8th, 1906. The Liberal Prime Minister, Sir Henry Campbell Bannerman, and 400 out of 670 MPs favour women's suffrage. I'm sure my open-air speeches are having an impact. October the 20th, 1906. We are now starting a campaign of noisily opposing MPs at by-elections. Rifts are beginning to show in the women's campaign ranks. The NWSS continues petitions and meetings while we at the WSPU protested at the Commons, where unfortunately many of our members were arrested and imprisoned. Good news though, a daily newspaper has recognised us as a group and has coined the term suffragette to describe us. February the 7th, 1907, the NUWSS organised a march through London where it was thought 3,000 women took part. Already people are calling it the Mud March due to the terrible weather. The WFL, the Women's Freedom League, has arisen from our WSPU, citing rejecting the dominance of the Pankhurst. April the 23rd, 1908. Herbert Asquith has become the Prime Minister. He states we need to prove there is a popular support for the rights for women to vote. June the 21st, 1908. Today is Sunday, the day the suffragettes and the suffragists organised a massive procession to London. Supporters came from all over the country, with somewhere between 300,000 and 500,000 activists gathering in Hyde Park, London. Surprisingly, Asquith did nothing in response. And so, in frustration and to get his attention, we started throwing stones with our pleas written and attached to them through the windows in Downing Street. When he still didn't appear, we chained ourselves to the railings, demanding a response. June the 1st, 1909. Both the NUWSS and the WSPU are growing rapidly in numbers, so it makes no difference to us how many are put into prison. We demand to be treated as political prisoners, and so all of us are put in prison have agreed to go on hunger strike. The government doesn't want dead women on its hands, and so have ordered that we're to be force-fed. November the 18th, 1910. Asquith has agreed to work with us if we call off our violent protest. The Conciliation Bill giving the women the right to vote succeeded in the House of Commons, but Asquith keeps delaying and stalling because of the general election. So we again protested, fighting violently with the police, with many of our women ending up injured by the police, some permanently, others fatally. People are calling it Black Friday. June the 1st, 1912. The past months have been nothing more than false promises and continual political games. Enough is enough. Our headquarters have been raided and some of our leaders arrested. Christabel has fled to Paris. May the 6th, 1913. And still we fight strong. The government have introduced the Cat and Mouse Act, whereby, as the prisons are now overcrowded with us, they release us when we become deathly ill from hunger strike, so as not to have us die in prison, only to arrest us again as soon as we recover. June the 8th, 1913. This is to be my last entry. My great friend, Emily Davidson, is dead. She did everything in her power for our cause. Arrested 9 times. Force-fed 49 times. To get more attention for our cause, I say she was at the Derby, attempting to attach a banner to our suffragette colours to the King's horse, Amma, as it ran by. Although still alive, they say that because of her skull fracture and internal injuries, she will soon pass. Now, more than ever, I will secure the vote for women. And a little footnote. Emily died 4 days later. Her bag contents actually uncovered a return rail ticket and a ticket to attend a ball that evening. It was considered further evidence that she was very unlikely to actually then have been attempting death or to place an unfound banner on any other item on such a fast-moving animal. However, the suffragettes used the incident to their propaganda favour with a huge funeral event and compassion for the women. And the reason I was reading all that and bringing that to your attention, apart from it may well help people studying it at school, they can just write it down. Apart from that, it's to show, don't give up, no matter what is against you, laws or any such things. You can make anything happen if you believe in your rights. So that's the very first episode of my live, where I'm showing you that no matter what, we can be positive. Maybe you're inspired by that story. If you know the colours of the suffragettes and what they stood for, the 3 colours, that's very interesting too. So be inspired by it. Stand up for rights. Just because something is law doesn't mean it remains so. And think about history, how different laws have changed over the years. And laws are changing pretty fast now. Some for good, some for bad. Hi, Jimmy. I'm just taking a breather. I've just done a whole reading. I have to go back and hear the reading of the suffragettes. I'm trying to create some inspiration on this channel's lives to show people that stand forth, do what's right. You can change, you can make changes. So this is what this live on this channel is going to be about, making a bigger community, positive in many different ways. I'm going to have all sorts of content, but everything about being inspirational and positive. And I've made a little tiny video. I haven't posted it yet. I only made it this morning, just introducing what my lives are going to be on this channel. As I say, very different from my other channel, and both of those lives are 2 different sorts of content as well. So I made a little video about it, just explaining how it's very important to be very positive. Jimmy's saying positive energy brings positive changes. Of course it does. We hear so much how people have similar illnesses and disabilities. Some people will go to bed, poor me. They told me I wouldn't walk again, I wouldn't talk again, I wouldn't be able to do anything again. And I said, why not? And they said, there is no possible way. Yes, I still stumble on words and I still have bad times and I have major attacks. As I put on a recent community post on my channel, there's a song where they say, one wheel on my wagon and I'm still rolling along. That's me. Yes, I'll have down days, but that's why I wanted to keep doing lives, because that gives me commitment and practice my speech and my quick thinking. So that's why I like to do it. I don't always come up on everyone's lives when asked if I've got something to do later on in the day. I don't like to wear my brain out, my thought process and things like that. But you do, you get some people that go and conquer the world and climb mountains and sail the 7 seas when they've got really terrible disabilities and illnesses, and others will go to bed because they've been told that that's what they need to do. In Cyprus, they're very good in hospitals here. It might seem harsh, but after I had a major operation here, they made me get up in about 3 days. Oh, it was really hard. And they explained it. They said the quicker you get up, the quicker you'll get mobility back and things like that. And for sure, they're right. So things like this, it's all about, as Jimmy says on his channel, PMA, positive mental attitude. And that's what I want this channel's live to be. Maybe if you're struggling, then this is a channel for you. If you look at my introductory video that I haven't posted yet, but it will be on this channel soon. I might even put it on my other channel as well, just to send people over. And you'll see how I talk about many different things, about surround yourself with positivity, because I have one of my many sayings. I love quotes. If you've got quotes and sayings, I love them if they help you along. And one of them is, why sit on the ground with the turkeys when you can soar with eagles? And that's so true. It means if you're going to surround yourself with the naysayers and the ill people and poor us, then thanks a lot, Jimmy. That's really kind of you. Do you have a favourite saying at all, Jimmy, apart from your PMAs? Your PMAs. I do love quotes and sayings, and I have a book. It's actually my joke book. I do jokes on my other 2 lives every time, and in the back of that book I write down quotes, and when I have a down day, I will get that out and read the quotes. It's all about PMA saves a day. That's Jimmy's saying for sure. And I have actually not made this channel subscribers only, because I want to find people that want to surround themselves with positivity. So I really want to find that, help people find it as well. Get yourself something pretty. Yes, even you men, get something pretty or something you really like. Maybe it's ornament, something that really raises your spirit. Put it where you see it every day. Are you somebody who's saying, I'm dreaming, one day I might do this, one day I might do that? Well, put a picture of it maybe on your fridge or somewhere you go every day. If you're trying to lose weight, put a picture of what you'd like to be on your fridge. If you want to go and move abroad or save up for a holiday, put a picture on your fridge. And these are things that just keep you going. Start doing something today towards that goal. So I'd be interested in what people would dream to do or think they might do somewhere in the future. Jimmy says, don't be pushed around by fears in your mind. Be led by the dreams in your heart. That's very nice. That's very good. Definitely. Definitely. That is the way to go. And as I say, don't just dream it, do it. Mike wanted to come to Cyprus to retire. With my concerns, anything can happen to me tomorrow that I won't recover. So for me, it's about doing it today. And he laughs at me because there's some days I'll be like a mad woman rushing around doing all sorts of things I need to get done. And he goes, do some tomorrow. But he's realised now I don't know what tomorrow brings for me in health. So if I want to do things, I'm a finisher. So I kind of don't want to leave anything behind or anything that needs doing if I have bad times. So I rush around doing things when I'm well. And I've said it before on my other channel, if you don't know anybody watching this back, for me to stop and sit is actually very bad for my body and my condition. I have to keep active. So just sitting doing a live for a bit, I'll get up and I'll have to like start working all my feet and my legs. I get set basically in many ways. And I do rest after my lives. It's quite thought-provoking, like quite a thing to keep thinking what I'm saying. I have to listen to what I'm saying. So these themes, as I've said, will be very different. Sometimes I might read you something. Sometimes we might focus on one particular issue. But I want to help people get along and get on with life. We all have 24 hours in a day. Yes, a lot of people have commitments, but give yourself time to have something of the day for you, or what's the point in life, and get up a bit earlier, go to bed a bit later. I normally do two things at once. So, for example, yesterday evening, me and Mike chilled out for a bit and we just watched something. But while we were doing that, I was getting the seeds out of pods of the broccoli. So I time manage as well. So just think of different ideas, and we're going to do, as I say, very varied episodes. Some would just be a general Q&A or help. You've just come on for asking things and we'll all share our advice, and some will be focused on very particular things. I'm going to talk a lot about therapy, different therapy, whether it be mind therapy or body therapy. I'm going to talk about ways of distraction. So yes, if something very traumatic's happening, different ways we can distract ourselves and find a clear path to move on. I'm going to do lots of chat about my psychology and do lots of things about that. And I'm running a series. I'm about to post the first one from a book I shared with you that I have called Who Are You? And there's fun games and activities to discover your inner self, but I'm going to do some of that on this channel as well. Jimmy says, instead of worrying about what you can't control, shift your own energy to what you can create. I must say, when I was little, I was always quite a nervous child, and the way I could just get myself over that, you know, if you got an appointment or something's building up, I used to count down the time of, let's say it was an exam. So the exam would be in an hour's time, and I'd be all traumatized by that. And I used to count it down. I used to think, well, once I've done the exam, that would be gone, that feeling. So let's think, I've only got an hour before that exam. So let's not worry. In an hour, it's all over. So why build up that worry? And I kind of count things down like that. So if you've got something, think, well, this time tomorrow, it'll be dealt with, or it'll be gone. So if there's any very particular types of topics related to this, I'm going to talk about crafts and different therapies. And of course, a holiday is a therapy. As you may or may not know, we live very frugally. I have no income. I have a very tiny bit comes in randomly from AdSense, very randomly. I've had one payment and I've spent it and it's got to build up again before I get any more. But that is my only income. I don't get benefits or anything like that because I'm not a Cypriot and I live in Cyprus, so I'm not entitled to things. And I did waiver that when I came here. The time that we came to live in Cyprus was very different to how you come now on rules and regs, pre-EU and many other things. And you sign a declaration. That's what we had to do. It's different now. But you sign a declaration to say you understand that you won't get any financial support in the future, or this or this or this or this. You have to be independent, and you have to show your bank account, which you had to have opened in Cyprus, and you had to show that and declare any other money and prove you were able to provide for yourself for the rest of your time. And if you couldn't, then you're declaring that you won't ask for any financial and other help, which was fine, because when we first came here, Mike had bought a holiday home, which is where we lived to start with when we came here, and I just said I wanted something bigger with some land. And obviously I said that if I sold my house in England, then we could buy that straight away. So Mike had just bought this holiday home that we were going to live in. And I hadn't bought here yet, obviously, because we were living in there. And I just sold a massive house in England. So my bank account in Cyprus was way hey. Now, we weren't married at that point. So I was in the room and I got all approved. Yeah, you're fine. Bye-bye. And then Mike went in and he'd just bought the house in Ziggy is the place in Cyprus. And he'd just bought that. So his account was and they were a bit dubious about that. And I said, well, we were going to get married and our money became one. And in the end, they did okay it, but they shouldn't have done that. Okay, Jimmy, thanks a lot for coming over. Thanks so much, my friend. See you next time. And that's a reason as well, my sign out on my main channel, New Beginnings, My Everyday Life in Rural Cyprus, why I have a sign out of the word Meraki. Now, on its own, the actual word isn't a word translation. It's like a saying. And I'll read it exactly for you, word for word. It's Cypriot, not Greek. And the phrase of Meraki basically means to put part of your soul into what you are doing something with passion and absolute devotion. And that's why I always sign out with Meraki. It doesn't matter what you do or how you do it. I think a lot of people are a little afraid of trying something new, or like I did, jump to a country you knew not very much about, didn't know anyone here. Mike had done a lot of research, and I think a lot of people just have that little fear. And if you go back on my main channel, let me type it in for anyone who doesn't know my channel. So that's my main channel. If you go on there, you'll see very recently I posted a video where I had Workaway volunteers. It's a worldwide organisation. I'll talk about that in a minute. And I helped them relocate to live in Cyprus. It's something you can do. Just try and link up with someone somehow. Workaway. I have a lot of people saying, oh, that was great for you to be able to have them, and they did a lot of work for you. Workaway is a site. Oh, I was going to say you're back. Workaway is a site. It is worldwide. I can help you, give you more information of that if you like. If you go on my video on Workaway on my channel, there is a link to where you can come Workaway here. But go on it, because then you'll see the format of, if you want to be a host, you'll see what sort of things. It's the subject headings are set, so they're not what I've put, they're what you put, because they want people to come and learn culture and things like that, not just come for a cheap holiday. So it's a cultural exchange. So you tell them places to go or things like this, and there's different categories you have to fill in little bits. What do workaways do? They can do anything, and I'll go into the rules of anything in a minute, but basically it's not about what I use them for to come and work on my land. My sister thought it was amazing. She lives in England and she needed help installing her kitchen, and she wanted some other bits and pieces, basic DIY done around the house, I think fitting a tap, those kind of things. So you can have them for that. How long do you have them for? That's entirely up to you. I'm talking from the host side first, then I'll talk about the actual Workaway side. So you have a calendar, and you can, if you want, you don't have to, you mark them 3 colours. One is you definitely want people right now. One is maybe, so you read their profile if they want to come and see if it's something you can use. or you definitely don't want anyone right now. You are not beholden to that calendar. So people will apply to you when you say you don't need anyone, and vice versa. People might apply. Now we've got a heat wave. I've got the calendar open, but to be honest, if they apply, I will contact them and say, you can still come, but it's so hot. Most of my jobs are outside, so up to you. Some people might be moving around and need that little place in between to fix a booking in between. What does it cost for you to be a host? Zero. And it costs you nothing to host them in the way of food if you have them helping for 3 hours or less per day, and you don't have them working weekends. So it's 5 days a week, and then they're given time off. So if you ask for 3 hours or less, you do not need to feed them. You only need provide them with a shower, a toilet, and a clean, dry bed of some description. And if you jump around the site, you will be quite astounded as to some of the accommodation, let's say. It can be tents, it can be old caravans or trailers. Some of our workaways have said they've slept in old broken down cars. Bit bizarre, that one. They've like put the back down and put a mattress in. A lot of them are dormitories shared, which I have done a video. Be careful about that. There's lots of issues with that. Some have just been old abandoned ruins with a tarpaulin over the top. Ours is quite nice in comparison. Ours is 5-star in comparison. If you want them to work more than 3 hours a day, then you have to provide food. Now, providing food, there's different rules and regs on that. On the bottom of the workers profile, we call them workers, but they're volunteers. On the bottom of their profile, they have to say if they've got allergies, any allergies. You could provide them just with food, as in here's rice, pasta, whatever, and cook it as and when you want it. But obviously you've got to provide them then with cooking facilities. You could say to join you for your meals and what time your meals are. In that respect, they would be expected to either help you cook, take days, taking turns, or washing and clearing up. Or you could just not worry about that. If you've got a dormitory experience, for example, it's up to them to work it out between themselves. Now, this is one of the problems with dormitories. You then may have to clean up after all the others that don't bother. If the meals either provided by the host or at the dormitories are a set time, you can't really go out and about, because if the meal's at 7 o'clock at night, dinner, if you're sharing with the host, well, you've either got to be back then for dinner, or you can't really go out anywhere. So this is another reason I wouldn't provide food anyway. I want them to experience Cyprus, cheap holiday, if you like, experience living in a real rural place and get the full impact of that, but be free to go out and about once they've done with me 3 hours help in the morning. So that's why I do it that way. Now let's talk about the type of work. As I said, it can be anything. It cannot be work for their business or linked to the business. So let's say, let's think of something that isn't directly a business. Okay, I do Airbnb. I couldn't get them to clean the Airbnbs for me, because although the Airbnb guests aren't there at that point, it is related to an income. If my olive farm was for selling the olive oil and the olives, I would have to pay them. And the rules of payment are this, or working for your business are this. First of all, it has to be declared at the very top of your host profile that this is for a business or connected to a business and is a paid placement. This is quite new for Workaway. The host has to pay the workawayers if they're working towards the business in some respect. The host has to pay them more than the minimum payment of a worker in the country that the host is in, because it is not to get cheap labour and it is not to take jobs away from the people of the host country. So this is very important as well. What else can I tell you about Workaway? I would say go for it. As I say, the dates, you can either search for the Workaway volunteers or they can search for you. So for me, I live in Cyprus. If they're coming to Cyprus or interested in coming to Cyprus, they will look up Cyprus host and that's how they can connect with me there. You have on your profile what sort of things mostly you'll want them to do. As I say, there could be childminding now. There's a business if you're doing it from the business thing. So if you've got children and you need someone to look after them during the holidays, pet sitting. But make sure things like pet sitting and looking after the children, they should both be paid, because if the owner of the pet, let's say, is going off to work and you're looking after the pet, that is still work related in that respect, and it's a job rather than helping hands, let's say, that kind of thing. What else? Is there anything else you want to know? I have done videos on this and I've done it from both perspectives of host and workaways, particularly if it's your first time. It's very easy to set up. The workaways do pay, thanks Jimmy, the workaways do pay a very small amount, and I can't remember what it is, but it's, let's say, 30 euros a year. I don't know what that works out in dollars or anything else. It might not even be that much, and there might be a supplement if you sign up. I don't know that, but I do know it's not very expensive when you think that's basically you're paying that out, and that is your free holiday accommodation, if you like, particularly if you go to one where you're getting your meals paid for as well. You have to really state any very specific things. And very similar to the Airbnb site, they will back you up 100% on any issues as long as all your chat goes through their site and you are very clear on what you're saying isn't provided or anything like that. So if you do this, be very clear. I mean, you could ask for a mechanic. You have got skilled people on there. It's not just people coming for a holiday. You have skilled people wanting to volunteer. So you might have your cars broken down. Is there anyone right now available that is a car mechanic? We're looking for a lumberjack. So if anyone comes onto our site as a lumberjack, or as I say, it's too hot for us to look for people right now, but lumberjack something. We need somebody to make sofa covers for us, fitted covers for our sofa. So we need a seamstress or something like that. We've got the material, but we've only got enough, so it needs to be made. Anything and everything you need help with. An electrician, I don't know the rules of everyone's countries, whether you have to have certain criteria for that. They have to be registered in your country, maybe. Plumbing, as I say, gardening, companionship. There's a lot of that on the site, and you can look country by country, or you can look for very specific things. You can type in a keyword. You can really have a good look, and there's everything there. I can't think what else you might want them for. Decorating. A lot of people are renovating old buildings. You can have them for that as long as it's not going to be potential for your business income. So if you're doing it for a hotel, you're building a hotel, no, unless you pay them. As I say, I really like the site. I think it's really good. They're really supportive. I've made some suggestions to the site and they've taken me up on that as well. There's more clarity on this business side, which was a suggestion. I've also made a suggestion. This is the only downside that we've experienced. As a volunteer, granted, it's very difficult to find a host and coordinate your flights. You don't want to have a flight and have nowhere to go, and I understand that. So a lot of them multi-ask for places to come and stay. That's fine. But don't tell me, I really love your place. It's the absolute perfect place for me and I'm free on these dates. Do they suit you? Currently, we only have one double bed, a room where they can stay. So it's either two people travelling together that are happy to have a double bed or a single traveller. If somebody tells me they're coming, reserve these dates, these are the dates, is it okay with you? And I say yes, and then they don't come, I've wasted, which I've just done with another internship, I have wasted, they wanted to come for about 3 months, 3.5 months, because it was an internship and they booked it. And then I've had to turn down anybody else during that time and they didn't come. Now, you can write a report on them when they've gone and they write a report back for the host. So I put that they didn't come. Oh, that was something I got Workaway to do, to add a tick box that they didn't show rather than just a review. Because some people wouldn't know, you could say they didn't come. So I ticked that and put all what I've just said to you about they knew it was one double bedroom. So Workaway site asked me just to send them the screenshot of the fact it said there's only one double bedroom and the screenshot of it's on their site, but I suppose it was easier for me to send it, their message saying that they wanted to come and they wanted to come for, I think it was 3.5 months. I then went back on these Workawayers, their site, just to see if there was any other indication of where they'd actually gone, which there isn't. You can't see where they've gone, but you can see if they're in Cyprus or somewhere else, because it shows you if they're travelling or if they're at a location, but it doesn't tell you where. But when I went on their profile to see were they still in Cyprus, i.e. they'd gone to someone else in Cyprus, it said the site had been taken down, their profile site had gone. I was like, maybe that's just because they're investigating what I've said. Anyway, Workaway came back to me, the site, and they said they were actually in it illegally because they'd put they were 18 and they weren't. So now they've been taken down, and obviously it's gone further because they're going through, I think there's some basic insurance through Workaway, and as I say, the help service, that's what they're really paying for. So that was rather interesting. So I've now actually suggested to the Workaway site, is it possible now, because some people can misinterpret people saying they're coming. If they give you the dates, these are the dates we're coming, can you accommodate us? You put yes, no other conversation against that, so they're coming. And it's not for a host to keep saying, are you sure, are you sure, are you sure, you know. So I've asked the Workaway site now, is it possible that they actually have little boxes across the top on both the host site or the messaging bit of the host site and the Workaway site, where you can put inquiring ticket, confirmed booking ticket. And then there will be no dispute as to, oh, we were just inquiring and they thought we were coming, or the host saying, well, they didn't say they weren't coming. So unless I heard they weren't coming, I assumed they were coming. So this is what I'm trying to get across on this channel as well. The fact that don't just go, oh, that site's no good, or, oh, didn't like that happened. Ask. I mean, I'm very polite when I ask these companies things. Just try and make changes, make life easier for everyone. And I know this happens to a lot of people on any of these type of volunteer sites. So I just thought if they could add some sort of tick box to say confirm booking, then everybody's in the know. Everyone's in the know. So that's a little bit about Workaway. So those of you who are struggling, it doesn't cost you anything to go on the Workaway site and be a host. Still here, thanks. I'll just go have some water. I'm not stopping talking because I think no one's there. And there is help for all sorts of things out there. But as I say, this is free. I've never had any trouble with anyone who comes. Just as I say, be very clear about what you don't offer. I say they have to have a car to come, which obviously bumps their cost up if they're coming for sort of a cheap backpacking type holiday. But I'm so rural, you couldn't get here with a taxi or anything else. I don't drive, so don't be turning up and then, like our Airbnbs do, oh, well, we decided not to get a car. Can you just come and collect us? No, that's what a hotel transfer is. You pay for a hotel because you get the transfer. No, I just say I don't drive. And how can they be out and about, and how can they buy their own food? One did actually say, I don't really want to get a car. I mean, talk to me, people. I'll talk to you and answer you if you have got a query. One said, I don't really want to get a car and I'm quite happy to stay at your location all the time. Is it possible, if I got a taxi to yours, that I could pay you for any food you provide? And as Airbnb actually state, and this is a very good word of advice from them, which I cross over Workaway and Airbnb. I use information from both as good information. But Airbnb state, if somebody wants to book your location and they say politely, okay, I've read that you don't accept children, you don't accept dogs, these sort of things. It says we can't use your washing machine. I've read that, but could I? Who are you? Who are you? Could I? Some offer you payment for the use of. They say they will pay for you. But as this is the advice from Airbnb, if you said no, initially, we don't offer use of washing machine, use of your cooker, dogs, children, why would you suddenly go, okay, then there must be a reason why you don't, why you made that decision, and therefore stick to it. Do not be swayed by cash offer of, but can I? It never works. Don't think bad of me. I have actually allowed people to use the washing machine and other such things and pick people up. But that is the chat, as I say. It was the they Workaways or Airbnbers. I think they were Airbnbers, and they actually got a job offer. They'd had an interview elsewhere, another country, and they had an interview and they got accepted, and they were here But the job offer came in, someone had left unexpectedly, and they were told, oh, you can go in, you can come in now and start now if you can get here. So she wanted to go and do that. And it meant she couldn't fly back to, I forget what country they were from, but they couldn't fly back there and then fly to the new country. So she phoned her mum, and she got her mum to pack up clothes and whatever and send that off to the new living job in another country. And she said, oh, I've just literally got my clothes I'm wearing, because I'd come for, I think it was a short weekend or something like that. She didn't have much with her. So I said, right, let me wash the clothes you first came in, and we put them in the washing machine. I'm at now, have to run. Bye. Bye, Jimmy. Thanks a lot for your support. Really appreciated. So these are my words of advice really from today. Don't be swayed by what is supposedly set in stone. That's from my suffragette story. If you think something, go for it. Don't just dream, do it. What are you waiting for this special moment in your life that you deserve, maybe when you retire? I know sometimes there's financial constraints about doing things, but then think of another way. There are ways. As I say, go and do Workaway in the country you want to live, and who knows, perhaps until you retire, now they offer it as jobs, you could be there setting up your life, perhaps, and then when you reach retirement age, you're already there, you already know prices, what's happening, and you're there. So this is just an idea. Obviously, there's other significant factors of many things, but I'm just explaining it's a way you could do something. And as I say, nobody knows what is going to happen tomorrow. So it would be a terrible shame not to do it. Some people say, oh, I wish I'd learnt to play music. Oh, I wish I'd learnt to draw. You can do that. In fact, today it's easier to do any of those things because you've got YouTube and many other things where you can learn for free. Even if you take 30 minutes a day, get up 30 minutes earlier, go to bed 30 minutes earlier, spend 30 minutes of your lunchtime doing something towards those goals. So if you want to learn to draw, what about while you're sitting watching TV, or while you're listening to something on YouTube? Do that at the same time. Have a little draw. Instead of sitting down watching something on YouTube or the TV, why don't you watch something to help with your life? If you're looking at going to set up a rural life, that kind of thing, start looking up how to do things. Start now. So this is my other thought for today, that do something today, either for yourself, for time out, or to enhance what you're planning to do for your future. And then the day you're ready to go or do it, there you go. And a lot of these things you can actually earn money on. Let's say, for example, you're a YouTuber. Let's say you're a YouTuber as a car mechanic, but you really want to learn to play the piano. Diverse. Add another channel and film you learning from day one, learning to play the piano. So you've got potential of adding that to your income, because once you're monetized, as long as you put both channel names in at the very beginning, because you can't add later a channel name to be monetized, you have to when you first go for the partnership program. When you've done that, you have to put the channels in initially together. You can't then add channels. And I believe you can have up to 3 channels linked. They have to be your channels, but I believe it's 3 channels is the maximum. So make that to your advantage as well. And who knows, if you have more than one channel, then people will cross over. So this is something else. So let's read you a few little quotes to finish with. Another Cypriot little phrase that I do say a lot is krata gera, which is hang on in there. That one I have used a few times. This is advice from a tree. Stand tall and proud. Go out on a limb. Remember your roots. Drink plenty of water. Be content with your natural beauty and enjoy the view. That's pretty cool, that one. Something you might like to see as well is I did the story of the puppet master. I think I'll briefly read that to you just in case you missed it, because I can't remember. I don't think it was as a video. I think it was on another live. And this is about choosing your own destiny. So you may link this to if you work for a big company now, something like this. So if you've got a boss of a big company and you're doing all the work, but they're taking all the money, this might be relative to you. So change puppet master to your big boss or your big company boss. I call it, don't be a puppet, choose your own destiny. A puppeteer arrived in town with a great promise of a good show. The puppeteer wanted to be in complete control and pull all the strings. Soon the puppeteer couldn't be bothered to move all the strings, so he cut some of the strings, leaving the puppets unable to work properly and at their best anymore. Because the children still came anyway to watch the puppet show, the puppeteer got greedy. He increased the price of the performance. When the music player broke, he didn't bother to replace it. Even without the music, the children still came. When the puppet scenery got old and torn, he didn't repair it. And still the children came. Some brave puppets made their escape and chanced their fate in the unknown world beyond the security of the puppet master. As more strings got cut, some of the remaining puppets fell by the wayside and were abandoned by the puppet master. With no puppets working properly, the parents stopped bringing the children. And what became of the puppeteer? Well, he happily retired with all the money he had made at the expense of the poor, hard-working puppets whose reputation was now in tatters. And if you've watched this live to the very end, I would be very interested to see if you can relate to some of that stuff. It's like your big corporations or the people in charge at work that not bothered, and all the little minions at the bottom of the ladder do all the hard work. So I hope you enjoyed that introduction, and let me know what you thought of this first live on this channel. They will always be on a Thursday, but not any set Thursday. So just randomly, when I have time on a Thursday, or when I have something to share rather than just sitting babbling, I will do one. So do make sure that you've actually subscribed and hit the notification bell, because there's no notification of this live until I actually go live. And once I go live, you then get a notification come through to say that I've started the live. And I will finish, as I intend to always finish these lives, with a quote of the day. And the quote of today I've chosen is, "Don't let the past or others discourage you. Embrace new risk and opportunities to discover a rewarding, meaningful future." And do check out the Astute Tourist channel, who's a fab supporter. So until next time, I will finish as I always finish, Meraki.